Hello, in this video I'm going to analyze and help you work out how to draft a 1970s Pierre Cardin shirt dress, the white one here. And what's great about looking at vintage styles like from this L'Officiel magazine is that you get sort of inspiration on how to draft certain things, but you can adapt your own blocks or sewing patterns to then make it your own. And the great thing about a style like that, but you can use an existing dress pattern you already have. So if you like working in woven, it might be a shirt dress, and then you might want to just add really interesting skirt details. Or if you already have a knit dress, especially like a skater dress style, that would be perfect for adding these sort of late 60s, early 70s detail, which will really transform your dress quite quickly. So now let's have a look at the dress in detail and work out exactly how you would approach drafting and making your own. When you're looking at a style like that, you need to first of all work out what sort of block you would start with or what sewing pattern you would adapt it. So this one, there are some really clear indicators to what sort of block would work for that. Because can you see, this is a fitted dress, there are no darts. And of course, if it was a woven block, you would need your darts. So this straight away would indicate it's a knit block you need. If you wanted to copy it, of course, you are in charge. So you could just as easily add the darts and make this a woven block. So if you wanted to make it from a woven block, you would have to add the darts in your designs. But you can also see it's quite a close fitting block. So you would use a fitted knit block, or your basic knit block might be fine as well. And also, if you look how beautiful that fabric sits, it's not a very thin knit. So it might be more like a double knit, or it might be a pointer, is it a pointer Roma? So these are sort of indications where you, before you even draft, you sort of look at it, and that will give you an idea of the fabric and how you do it. Then once you do that, you would sort of use your block and you would sort of work out where you place your details. Quite often when you have a belt which sits on the natural waist in vintage clothes, that means there's a seam underneath it. Doesn't have to be. So you have two options. They're sort of up to you. So you can either have it with a seam, which would make the cutting a lot easier. The reason being is that you can use especially if you do a knit, you would use your fitted block, and you can fit it as close as you want to, and then to that waist measurement you would then add your skirt block. But of course, if you start from a torso block, especially if you're, oh, that's a bad drawing, if you're fully busted or very curvy, there is a limit to how fitted you can make it. So if you're very full busted, even on a knit block, that you still probably will need to add some shaping, especially if it's a double knit which is stable. It's not a really stretchy knit. So these are the considerations to take. So I would probably use something like that, and then you wear your belt on top. But if you don't mind a slightly more skimming look and less fitted look, that's when you can use your torso block. So this is more fitted, and it allows for different fitting options as well. And this, by its definition, if you're curvy, will be more skimming. So by skimming, I mean it can't fit as well. So the curves might be more like this on you, but it skims more, because if you want a nice fit around the bust and you don't want to be with too much negative ease or too loose, you are restricted with a torso block. That's your first consideration. When the sleeve, you can say the sleeve is just your normal sleeve, and then what they've done is they either added a little bit of volume there, or they've just gathered your straight sleeve block into a cuff. So that's really straightforward. And that, if you haven't made a style like that, you could even make your first trial at this point. to work out how it works before you add the details. And what you could do then is when you, for example, that this is basically a keyhole button stand. And if you want to know how to draft it, I've got 3 variations of how to draft it on the pattern cutting school, which I will link to. I don't think I've got anything on YouTube because it's quite a niche style, to tell you the truth, and I wasn't sure there was any interest. But it's basically a way of inserting a buttonhole, and there's lots of books showing you how to do it in tutorials, so you can have a look at that as well. But it's a really neat way, and it's surprisingly simple because this is basically a separate pattern piece, which means it's much easier than having it grown on. And on the trowel, you could just pin it on, which, you know, you could leave your bodice as it is and then cut out your button stand and then just pin it on top. The good way about that is that you can move it up and down. If you already constructed this the button stand, it's sort of fixed in place. So for your first trowel, just pin it on the shape on your full bodice to work out how it actually looks. The construction is all about neatness and getting the corners perfect. So you might find that you would prefer practicing it once before you make on the final garment, and that's completely understandable. What I would say, if you have a button stand here, you can see she hasn't got a very big bust. She's quite straight. What you might find is even on a point of Roma, you might actually want to add some shaping, whether it's a princess line or whether you are at a dart. Princess lines are sort of easier, so you can, and they sort of blend to the side. So if you're fuller busted, I would always consider it because you don't want distortion in that area. The really beautiful detail about this, and I've only just looked at it, so I'm literally coming in cold like you are these pockets which are pleated. Again, what you might do for the first trowel, because what it basically is, the pockets are stitched on, and then they act as a sort of panel which holds our pleats in. So to a certain degree, this construction is very similar to there. But again, you have a straight style, and then underneath it you have either you could have gathers in here, or in this case you've got a pleat. Like that. But they are all the same sort of method, because what we basically have is our skirt, the center front, and then what you would do is the pockets basically make it a lot easier to put in. But the pockets they might even go to the side seam. It's a little bit hard to see, or it might be like that. But what you could literally do is that you have your skirt like that, and you extend it out so you have your pleats there, and then your pattern piece might actually be something like that, and then you actually insert the pocket backing and the side bit here, which makes it much easier to construct, and then on top of it goes our actual pocket shape. So it could be something like that, or you could use the 1920s version where you end up with a skirt, and then you basically have something like that, and then you have your pleat again, and then of course on top of it you have your pocket. If you do that, you're sort of taking out a little bit of fabric to create that entry point, which quite often on 1920 styles like this, it's higher up where we have all our curves. So putting a dart there can it actually helps us with shaping as such. down here, all you want to do is you want to hang it nicely, which is why if you then actually cut it out and stuff and insert it back in, means everything hangs beautifully, or it sort of stays the hang it was. You're not distorting the portion. But that's all it is. These are basically like our keyhole inserts here. I think these pockets are as such a separate sort of patchwork together, or like a cut out and stick together like that. And then the reason it looks so nice is just because they've done the top stitching, which is very Pierre Cardin. That sort of really chunky top stitching. And I think it's made from a wool, maybe a wool knit, or of course you can use different ones. But I wonder whether these bits and these bits are actually, they're interfaced, but it might be interfacing with a little bit of fluffiness or depth, and that way you get that sort of 3D look. So if you'd use a really thin interfacing, it's just stitched really thinly. But if you use a slightly actually fluffier interfacing, that would give you a sort of 3D look. So even if you use like emulsion or something, so if you want these pieces, you want them to be quite 3D. You want them to have a little body. You don't want them to be really stiff or really thick, but you want them to basically be slightly 3D, which means when you top stitch it, you get these really nice effects. And again, of course, you can add on your collar as well with, again, the same sort of stitching. And the proportions on this, of course, are quite, I've drawn an oversized as well, but they are sort of quite high impact, which makes it stand out. But you can see what you have is basically a shirt dress as such, but reinterpreted completely different. But you could, in theory, just use an existing shirt dress pattern you have, and then think about putting in maybe big pockets like that and adding the pleat. Or instead of having a button stand going all the way down, just having a button keyhole stand. And that's what I love about pattern cutting, is that you have so many variations which create completely different looks. I hope you found this helpful. Do let me know in the comments what you think, and whether you would make the dress, and whether you think knit or woven would work better for the style. Thank you so much for watching, and enjoy your pattern cutting.